I've thought about doing videos for a while, just a vlog of my progress and my journey. And I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm gonna give it a shot. This one might be long. This is the raw, unfiltered look of exhaustion and um, almost a little bit of hopelessness that goes along with my disorder. I started developing some chronic things back in my early 20s. I'm 48 right now. After I had my second son, I was 23, and I started getting some really bad heartburn just out of the blue, which I thought was odd. It would mostly happen at night, then just getting gut disruption and whatnot. Spent many years going to specialists and doctors and getting on different medications, and none of them really helped. They would help for a little bit, and then they would stop helping and whatnot. And then I developed a few years into, I got diagnosed with gastritis. A few years into the whole gut disturbance issue, I developed fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue. So it just kind of snowballed on top of each other, where I felt like I could hardly function. I was raising two little boys, being a stay-at-home mom, and I just kind of struggled through each day, but I did it. I really started getting into health and wellness in my upper 20s, learning more about diet and whole foods, and my stepdad had ended up passing away of cancer, which kind of led the research for my mom and myself into like the wellness space, and just taking care of the body naturally and looking into more holistic options. And then so over the years, I've just really struggled with the same things, the gut disturbance, the heartburn, the chronic fatigue, the just waking up and feeling like I got hit by a truck, like no matter what I did. I did end up really getting into exercise for a long period of time, which I was overtraining for sure. I was going to this gym that these professional MMA fighters taught. So it was really hardcore, like kickboxing and high cardio, high resistance. I mean, it was great. I ended up getting really strong, really developing a passion for the fitness world, became a personal trainer. I wanted to help other people, but the thing that I kept missing was I kept just ignoring my sore muscles, ignoring the pain, and just trying to be strong and push through. When I became a trainer, I didn't want that for my clients, so I didn't train them that way, because I had been trained that way. Just push through. Ended up having some pretty severe injuries from it. I ended up getting umbilical hernia from overtraining, and I had to get a surgery for that. And then a couple years later, I was getting this crazy, like, just unbearable pain on like my sternum and throughout my chest and my pecs, and I mean, it was just this nagging, terrible pain. And for some reason, they told me that it was my shoulder, and it was just radiating pain after I had gotten checked out. And they're like, "There's nothing wrong." I mean, it would hurt to breathe sometimes. It was like in my ribs. I thought maybe it was costochondritis. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically inflammation between the muscles in the lungs, or excuse me, the ribs. But I was told no, that wasn't it. They decided they wanted to check my shoulder, and they said that I had some bone spurs in my shoulder, so they wanted to do a surgery, and that was going to make it better. I did end up doing the surgery, and it was terrible. I ended up getting frozen shoulder from it, so I could hardly move my arm it took about a year to get full range of motion back, with lots and lots of physical therapy. And then I did end up going, I can't remember if this is before or after, but I did end up getting a really bad hip injury too, left side, just due to my shoulder not being well. I kind of focused more on like lower body exercises, and ended up injuring my hip. It's never been the same. It kind of shoots all the way down my leg, so I have a lot of left leg pain. However, I never had to have a surgery or anything for it. Fast forward, I finally ended up getting out of personal training just because for me, I felt like the world of personal training was kind of vain, and I just didn't agree with the pushing everybody so hard, and I felt like a lot of my clients didn't understand, even though I tried to educate them, that it was, not really what you did in the gym, but what you put in your mouth. Just like 80% nutrition and 20% what you do in the gym. So you can't you can't do a workout to outwork your bad diet. Like those two go hand in hand. And really, you don't even need to work out to have a good diet. You should do exercise. I think it's very beneficial to the body, but I don't believe it's a good weight loss method. So I have become very educated in food knowledge, nutrition, did Whole30 for a long time, led groups with that. And then I got more into the keto space, and I did that for like 3 years, and I really, I did get some benefits from it for sure, and I knew, like, just from the scientific research and just the case studies and the influencers that I followed, the doctors who were in that space, either carnivore, ketovore, or ketogenic, or low carb, all of the above, really made a lot of sense to me. So I started doing that. Unfortunately, I wasn't seeing too much progress, which was frustrating for me, because I felt like I was doing everything right. I was exercising, I was eating right, but I wasn't getting better. I then, in February of 2024, I went on a vacation with my husband to Cancun, Mexico for our anniversary. And we went swimming in the ocean, and I got out of the ocean and I started feeling randomly dizzy. So I don't know why. It was weird. I've never felt dizzy in my life, so I didn't know where it was coming from or what was going on. I knew that, prior to going on our trip, I was working really hard on, being in the gym, being consistent with the gym, even though I wasn't feeling 100%, like really doing all that I could do to be healthy and be strong, be well. I lost about 10-15 pounds before our trip. Just, wanted to, be up swimsuit weather, be in Cancun, and anyhow, so I did that. And so I was eating, me and my husband were eating pretty clean, just whole foods and vegetables and meat, really. I mean, we had maybe berries once in a while. We cheated once in a while. We weren't like 100% perfect. We would have some dairy, some cheese, but really stayed away from processed foods, sugar, and any like bread or anything like that. So we were doing pretty well. And so anyways, I back to my vacation, started getting randomly dizzy. And it would kind of come and go. It kind of came and go throughout the rest of the trip, which had happened the third day into our trip, and our trip was 7 days. So I was just, kind of try to blow it off, but it was kind of wrecking my trip, honestly. So I blew it off, just try to enjoy my trip, and it was beautiful, loved it. It was the most gorgeous trip I've ever taken. Just the fresh air and the ocean and everything, just absolutely gorgeous. The weather, beautiful. But we're eating a lot of stuff that we weren't eating. So I thought, well, maybe my body's reacting to, this food. Like I'm eating bad again, for this week. It's vacation, right? So I kind of blew it off. And then we got home and it kept happening. I was still dizzy. And again, it was kind of here and there. I mean, it was every day, but it wasn't like full days. It was kind of just like, it would come, a wave would hit, and then it would go away, and then it would come. For the first like couple days, and then I asked my husband, I'm like, a little concerned. I'm still dizzy. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, I'm dizzy too. And I was like, okay, good. Like, okay, maybe we're just getting used to being back on the trip and getting back into our diet. Like, I don't know, so I felt a little comfort that he was dizzy too. His faded within a few days, and he was back to good. Mine, unfortunately, kept getting worse, where it was like I wasn't getting any breaks in between. It was lingering. And then about 5 weeks in, it started bringing other symptoms into it, like headaches, eye pain, ear pain. I woke up one day and my whole face was numb. And it just hurt. My face hurt. I don't know how to explain it. And let me just explain what dizzy was. Because people say dizzy and they don't really know. There's a lot of different forms of dizziness. Or my dizziness was like I was on a boat. Like maybe like if you went on a cruise and you got off the boat and you felt a little motion sickness for a few weeks or days, excuse me. That's what I was. I was dizzy for like I had been on a boat, but my body was like, no, you're still on a boat. So that's how I felt, like just like I'm rocking. I was having a hard time like walking. I felt like I was going to fall over all the time. I felt very weighed down, heavy, chronic fatigue, nausea. So it wasn't like my world was spinning. It was just rocking. Felt very disoriented, disconnected from my body, floating, like I'm floating. And like I felt like my heart would flutter and I would get short of breath. And then again, my ears, my eyes would itch and burn and hurt really bad. Like my ears hurt so bad I felt for sure I had an ear infection. So when I started getting the numbness in my face, I was like, well, I must have a sinus infection. Like maybe that's what's causing my dizziness. And definitely have an ear infection. So went into the doctor. They said everything was fine. They checked it out, checked my ears. Ears are good. Checked everything. They said that I probably have a sinus infection and gave me an antibiotic for it. So I was like, I'm not big on antibiotics, but at this point I'm like, oh my gosh, if this would take this away, this would be amazing. Because at this point I had dealt with it for 5 weeks straight with no breaks at all. Oh, and straight up insomnia. Like I go to bed and I feel like I'm drowning, suffocating. like sloshing around in the ocean, and I can't, it doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. Um, the like feeling like I'm just floating in the ocean on a raft. Like when I close my eyes, it's a terrible, terrible feeling. So I'm getting zero sleep at this point. And so doctor gave me an antibiotic. It did nothing. They gave me I think it's called meclizine, like a anti-dizzy medication. Did nothing. And I had prior to that tried like Benadryl. I had tried what's the other one? Dramamine. Tried Dramamine. Neither of those worked. So then took an antibiotic, didn't do anything. She had referred me to an ENT. Went to the ENT. They said my ears looked fine as well. They did hearing tests. My hearing was fine. And then he said that I had what's called BPPV, so benign postural positional vertigo. I think I'm saying that right. But for me, I'm like, I don't think so, because that's like typical vertigo, like where you're spinning, and I told him I didn't spin. I was rocking, not spinning. But anyhow, he sent me to vestibular therapy. That, I did 3 weeks of that. It did not work at all. Like at all. I think I went 3 days a week for 3 weeks. It did not do one thing for my dizziness. I started getting really bad nerve pain throughout my body, just burning sensations throughout my body. The skull pain, like my head pain, it like hurt to touch my head. It still does, like it. So I told my physical therapist, I said, this isn't working. I asked her straight up, do I have a brain tumor? And she said, I think we need to get an MRI. So you need to go back to your doctor and we'll send them, let them know that this isn't working and you need to get further research or further testing. So I did get the MRI. That was completely fine. I did go to a neurologist, and then I got diagnosed with something called PPPD, and or MDDS. PPPD is persistent postural positional disorder, and MDDS is mild disembarkment syndrome, which is basically two fancy terms for chronic dizziness that they don't know where it came from, and they really don't know how to fix it. I then proceeded to see more physical therapy. I went to a second neurologist. I was put on 6 different medications and none of them helped. I had severe headaches. So all of the symptoms that I previously listed are still going on. So it has been over 2 years, and I am still suffering with every single symptom to the max, 24/7. I feel like I can hardly function. I work 2 days a week, and that's even really, really hard for me, to the point where I think I need to quit. My symptoms ramp up with light, with sound, with busyness, like busy areas, long hallways, busy patterns, screens, so like watching TV or phone, computer, stress, walking, being still. My symptoms do vary a little bit in severity day to day, but they're there every day, whether it's my baseline or it's really can't get out of bed. But even if I'm in bed, it's actually pretty terrible because it's not like I get a reprieve from it. So I generally hold on to my husband's arm when we're walking, or I hold on to walls. I can't make it up my flight of stairs a lot of times without having to take a break. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Without having to take a break, breather, because I get so dizzy and my heart, I get short of breath, my chest gets really heavy and my legs get really heavy and I don't feel like I can make it up the stairs, so I have to take a break. So I did go to a naturopath doctor whom I love. I started going to her last year. I went to her for about 8 months. She did meridian testing on me, found lots of things, found Lyme disease, parasites, mold toxicity, heavy metal toxicity, Epstein-Barr virus, herpes virus, like the oral one where I would constantly get cold sores. Trying to think if there's anything else she found. Like gut inflammation, intestinal inflammation, which I was having, and been having like chronic constipation. So being very transparent with all these, that some of them are, little TMI, so sorry, but I saw her for about 8 months. I was hesitant, just because I've seen naturopaths in the past, and I love them, and I actually would rather go that route for sure. But for me, it was always like, oh, take all these supplements, and then I'd spend thousands, hundreds, maybe not thousands, well, over time, thousands for sure, but hundreds of dollars a month on all of these supplements that are supposed to make me better, and they never did. So that was frustrating to me, and I learned just like, okay, well, or they would even make me sicker. Like, so the ones that I was taking from her, she was having me do some parasite cleansing, which ended up making me really, really sick. Everything that she had me take, I had to stop taking because I just couldn't handle the gut disruption. It was like diarrhea, constipation, diarrhea. Like, it was that and just terrible pain in my stomach, like, all the time. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I stumbled upon the GAPS diet, which stands for Gut and Psychology Syndrome. So in December, I read the whole book from Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, and I prayed about it a lot. I really felt like, okay, this is really extreme. Do I want to do this? Nothing else has worked. But I'm gonna do this. So in January, I started January off with a 3-day fast, which was really, really hard. I've done fasting. I've done intermittent fasting for a long time, years, with pretty good success. The longest fast that I had done was like 36 hours. So I did a 3-day fast, and it was hard, but I did it. I felt absolutely terrible the whole time, like so bad. But I did it. And then I moved right into the GAPS diet. So the GAPS diet is focusing on, the whole premise of the diet is healing and sealing the gut. So once you can do that, your body can heal from all the other ailments. So, I also had leaky gut. I'm sorry I didn't say that before. That was another thing that was found. And I did get a bout of diverticulitis last year. That had me in bed for like 3 days. I refused to take an antibiotic for it, though. I was like, nope, I just did the natural things that my naturopath had told me to do, which ended up healing in about a week. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but I felt like I got over it anyhow, to an extent. I definitely still have leaky gut and a lot of gut issues, a lot of intestinal pain. Um, but anyhow, I am on day 86 of the GAPS diet, and I have noticed zero change. Well, maybe, okay, so maybe a slightly less headaches and slightly less ear pain. But again, that's an ebb and flow too. Every night I have a headache all night. My skull hurts so bad and my ears hurt so bad. It almost hurts to lay on the pillow, and my whole face goes numb every night. A lot of times my hands and my feet will go numb too. And I deal with extreme foot pain, like to the point where I can hardly walk. This has been going on for probably 4 or 5 years now. And that came out of the blue, and my feet are fine. I'm not a runner. I don't even as a trainer, I didn't even really like cardio. I would do a little bit of it, but I was more like circuit cardio, or I really focused on resistance training. And walking, of course, but not like high impact running. So that was never really my thing. But I taught a lot of circuit classes, so I did believe in that type of cardio where it's like the HIIT, like the short bursts of the cardio, and then with a little bit, slower paced in between. But anyway, that's totally off topic. Sorry. So anyhow, I'm doing this GAPS diet, and I'm on day 86, and I'm struggling because I understand this is not a linear journey. It's not for the faint of heart. It's really, really hard. I've learned a lot of new things. I've learned a lot of things about my body. I've had to relearn some things that I thought I knew and I didn't. And I have a lot of friends and family that love me very much, who support me. However, they don't understand what I'm going through. It's impossible to put into words. But I place my trust in the Lord, and I want to set my mind on doing this diet, and knowing that it's not an easy quick fix, that I'm going to ebb and flow with the degree and the severity of my symptoms. But the testimonies that I have heard from people doing this diet are amazing. People have healed from the doctor who came up with this diet. Her son healed from autism from this diet. People have healed from cancer, MS, mental disorders like schizophrenia, ADHD, depression, neurological disorders, dysautonomia disorders, which is the two things that I have. Tons of gut disorders, like IBS, Crohn's, and all types. So all types of, pretty much you name it, people have healed from it. And it can take up to 2 years. So that's the part that I wrestle with, because I've already been dealing with this for over 2 years. And of course I want a healing, and I want a quick fix. I want somebody just give me a pill that will fix me. But I also know that's a Band-Aid, and it's not going to heal me completely. So I'm trying to stay true to the journey, and listen to my body. And so that's my story. And I know I look terrible right now, but I was up all night. It's been a really bad day. I don't have energy to do makeup or hair or anything like that. I'm exhausted. I feel like I can hardly keep my eyes open. But I just wanted to vlog this journey because I believe that healing can come, and I want to see where I was and where I'm going to be, and just know that there's hope, and I want to give hope to others who might be in the same situation, even though I know I haven't given much hope given my situation right now. But yeah, I just needed to get it all out and be transparent, and see where this takes me, this journey takes me. So for now, thanks for listening.